So, in the summer of 2016, after teaching English for 15 years, I boxed up my classroom and took on the role of instructional coach for secondary social studies. I'll never forget my first few days on the job. I asked my fellow instructional coaches, what is it that we do? What does a typical week look like? They scrunched up their faces and offered a lot of vague responses. And later I realized we're all doing different things based on the teachers we serve, and that makes it a difficult role to define. But that's something I'm hoping to do today. So while the specifics of each coach's week may be different, I realize now that there are some common threads throughout our work. We are agents of change. Let me repeat that. We are agents of change, and our work with teachers revolves around building relationships, confidentiality, reflecting on our practice, and advocacy. I'm a really big fan of Atul Gawande's TED Talk. Want to get great at something? Get a coach. In it, he explains how coaches can be your external eyes and ears, providing a more accurate picture of your reality. When provided with the information that comes from an extra teacher in the room, we better reflect on what's happening in our classrooms. But before we're ready for that type of feedback, we have to be comfortable opening ourselves up to our coach. During my first year of coaching, I wondered how I would ever fill my time. I introduced myself to everyone and familiarized myself with the 4 different buildings that I worked in and the 40 teachers I worked with. No one asked me for help though, but I knew I needed to persist. I had to gain their trust. So I spent that first year observing everyone's classroom and offering brief positive feedback. I would drop in during teachers' planning periods, and this is sort of funny. I always had my pockets lined with chocolate and other treats, and I still do to this day, so I can at least brighten their day with candy. But I spent a lot of that time, that first year, just watching and listening. I learned as much as I could about their individual teaching styles and feelings on a range of topics. I offered to make their lives easier by photocopying materials or teaching their students how to use a new Chromebook app. And slowly, but surely, a few individuals began reaching out for help with lesson planning or classroom management or to collaborate around a new activity. They began to trust me, and word got out. It wasn't just enough to listen, though. All relationships are built on a solid foundation of trust. The teachers I work with wouldn't ask for my help if they thought I was going to turn around and tell their evaluator about their struggles. I'm lucky that in my district, confidentiality is respected. Principals know that I'm not going to share who I'm working with or what I'm working with them on unless the teacher gives me permission. It can be really awkward. But I think everyone understands that the difficult coaching moments, the ones where someone comes to me and says, I don't know what to do. This activity, it bombed. Or I'm struggling to keep my classes on task. Those moments just wouldn't happen if they thought their evaluator was involved. I think at the core of what every coach does, once they've built trusting relationships with their colleagues, is to provide a forum for teachers to reflect on their practice. Not only do we provide that extra set of eyes and ears in the classroom, but we also provide a sounding board. We listen and we honor each teacher's expertise by asking questions, not by providing answers. For example, if I did have a teacher who is struggling with classroom management, I wouldn't tell her how to fix things. Instead, I'd ask questions, offer to collect data during a classroom observation, offer to videotape a class so we could watch and reflect on the video, or even offer a menu of strategies for her to choose from. Coaching is learning to ask the right questions. I love James Ryan's commencement speech, in which he shares his 5 essential questions in life. And I often find myself using, wait, what? In my coaching conversations. My people are used to it. And also using, I wonder. Which brings me to advocacy. Instructional coaches are advocates for teachers, students, and their profession. In the classroom, we can advocate for a student's needs to a teacher we're working with, or track down a resource that a teacher needs. Since coaches often have the ears of principals, district directors, and specialists, they're uniquely situated to bring attention to needs and issues that may otherwise go unseen. So, 4 years after I initially asked my fellow coaches, what is it that we do? I have to admit that if someone asked me that question, I might scrunch up my nose like they did and stumble around with an explanation. Honestly, we do so much. But the one thing I know is that without a solid foundation of trust, personal humility, questions, and chocolate, yes, lots and lots of chocolate, we wouldn't be able to do much of anything. Thank you.